Tool brands losing customer trust, a closer look. There's something happening in hardware stores and on job sites that most people haven't fully noticed yet. Brands that once dominated the tool aisle are losing ground fast. Display space is shrinking, customer loyalty is fading, and some of these household names are in more trouble than you'd think. Today, we're examining 8 tool brands that are struggling to maintain buyer confidence, exploring what went wrong, and discussing what you should know before making your next tool purchase. Number 8, Craftsman. There was a time when Craftsman was the obvious answer. New to tools, get Craftsman. Experienced tradesperson, still a solid pick. The brand represented reliability, accessibility, and a reputation built over generations. These days, though, that legacy is doing more heavy lifting than the actual product line. The core issue plaguing Craftsman today is what I call brand fragmentation. Sure, the name recognition remains strong, but the meaning behind that name has gotten muddy. Walk down the tool aisle, and you'll see one brand name, covering products manufactured in multiple locations, built to varying quality standards, and spanning dramatically different price ranges. This creates confusion and doubt in potential buyers. Customers can accept different price points, but they need to understand what they're actually purchasing. This didn't happen all at once. Through several changes in ownership, Craftsman transformed from a cohesive brand into essentially a badge applied across disconnected product categories. You'll find tools adequate for occasional DIY projects, sitting next to items that feel cheaper than similarly priced competition. Meanwhile, their attempts at premium offerings have largely faded from view, suggesting the brand may have abandoned any serious effort to compete at the top tier. This creates a real problem because tool purchases aren't typically one-and-done decisions. Buyers invest in platforms and ecosystems built on trust. When the brand name alone no longer guarantees consistent quality, customers stop making automatic purchases. They start comparing more carefully, second-guessing their choices, and ultimately gravitating toward competitors that offer more predictable standards, even at slightly higher costs. Look at how retailers treat the brand now. Craftsman still occupies shelf space, but increasingly as a filler option, rather than a featured draw. It exists because stores need inventory, not because it drives traffic. For a legacy name with decades of history, that's a precarious position. The bottom line for shoppers? Craftsman isn't finished, but it's no longer a purchase you can make with your eyes closed. Decent tools exist within the lineup, but only if you investigate specific product lines and set realistic expectations. For anyone building a comprehensive tool collection or making professional-grade investments, the automatic trust is gone. That's why Craftsman earns the number 8 spot, still breathing, but no longer the go-to choice. Once that erosion begins, it's difficult to reverse. Number 7, Porter Cable. Porter Cable demonstrates how a brand can quietly fade into obscurity without any dramatic controversy. There was no major product failure, no explosive recall, no public scandal. The brand simply lost its relevance while the industry evolved around it. For many years, Porter Cable held a comfortable middle ground. It served as a dependable mid-range choice for homeowners and lighter commercial applications. Nothing flashy, but nothing questionable either. Owning Porter Cable tools was perfectly respectable. That strategy worked until fundamental shifts transformed how consumers approach tool purchases. The cordless movement changed everything. Batteries evolved from simple add-ons to the central factor in buying decisions. Customers stopped evaluating individual tools in isolation and started evaluating entire ecosystems. The critical question became whether a brand demonstrated clear commitment to long-term platform support. This is where Porter Cable stumbled. While competitors rapidly expanded cordless offerings, Porter Cable's development pace slowed noticeably. New product announcements became infrequent. Battery compatibility remained limited. The ecosystem never expanded in ways that gave buyers confidence they were making sustainable investments. Even when existing tools performed adequately, the trajectory felt worrying. In this product category, that uncertainty is fatal. Buyers want assurance that replacement batteries will remain available years down the road and that complementary tools will continue joining the lineup. When brands fail to communicate clear growth plans, customers interpret that as decline and shop elsewhere. Retail trends confirm this perception. Porter Cable has progressively lost physical display space, often relegated to online-only availability or minimal in-store presence. To consumers, this signals that even retailers have lost confidence. When visibility drops, so does consideration. The outcome isn't anger or backlash, it's something worse: apathy. Porter Cable doesn't face harsh criticism because it's simply not part of the discussion anymore. In a market driven by ecosystem planning and future compatibility, being forgotten is more damaging than being disliked. Current owners don't face immediate concerns. Their existing tools continue working. But for prospective buyers, particularly those evaluating cordless platforms, the risk feels avoidable. Too many alternatives demonstrate stronger commitment and ongoing development. Porter Cable hasn't vanished, but it's fallen off buyers' radar. Once a brand exits the consideration set during purchase planning, recovery becomes extremely challenging. Number 6, gear wrench. Gear wrench presents an interesting case because superficially, everything seems acceptable. The tools generally earn positive feedback. Ratchets have good ergonomics. Sockets deliver expected performance. Within mechanical circles, the brand maintains reasonable respect. The issue with gear wrench isn't about what's in the toolbox, it's about what's happening at the corporate level. Gear wrench operates under Apex Tool Group ownership. Recently, discussions surrounding Apex have centered less on product innovation and more on financial restructuring and debt management. When consumers hear more about creditor negotiations than product development, trust begins eroding regardless of tool quality. Most shoppers don't actively monitor corporate finances, but they detect the downstream effects. Product releases become sporadic. Marketing presence diminishes. Retail strategies turn defensive rather than aggressive. Gradually, the brand stops projecting growth and instead projects maintenance mode. In hand tools, where buyers expect multi-decade consistency, this perception carries significant weight. Tool purchases aren't just about immediate function. Buyers want confidence that a decade from now, replacement parts, complementary sets, and warranty coverage will still exist. When the parent company's stability feels questionable, commitment becomes harder. There's also the complication of brand portfolio overlap. Apex controls multiple hand tool brands operating in similar spaces. When resources tighten, customers wonder which brands receive priority and which face quiet discontinuation. Consequently, Gear Wrench's positioning has shifted. It's no longer a foundation brand around which people build complete tool collections. Instead, it's become more of a selective purchase option. Buy individual pieces if they appeal to you. That represents a meaningful status decline. Gear Wrench isn't imploding, but the foundation feels less solid than previously. When buyers detect that instability, even unconsciously, they gravitate toward perceived safer options. Number 5, Crescent. Crescent is among those brands with near universal name recognition, even from people who haven't purchased one recently. Adjustable wrenches built the reputation, and that heritage carried considerable influence for years. Recognition alone, however, doesn't sustain a tool brand indefinitely. Crescent's current challenge is what I describe as brand ambiguity. The name persists, but its identity has become unclear. It doesn't definitively occupy the premium space, yet it doesn't confidently embrace the budget segment either. This lack of clear positioning creates purchasing friction. When buyers can't quickly determine where a brand sits regarding quality and value proposition, they pause. And those pauses typically result in selecting alternatives. Crescent also operates within the Apex Tool Group structure, linking its future to the same corporate uncertainties mentioned earlier. Even consumers who don't track ownership structures notice the effects. Fewer notable launches, reduced buzz, a general sense that the brand is being preserved rather than actively developed. Crescent isn't vanishing imminently, but it's increasingly sustained by historical reputation rather than forward momentum. In the tool industry, history alone rarely propels brands forward successfully. Number 4, Cobalt. Cobalt's circumstances differ from others on this list, but that doesn't reduce the risk. It changes the nature of the risk. Cobalt functions as a private label brand. Its entire future hinges almost exclusively on one retailer's strategic decisions. As long as that retailer views the brand as valuable to its objectives, Cobalt continues. If priorities change, the brand can pivot dramatically or disappear rapidly. This dependency creates natural hesitation among buyers. Investing in Cobalt typically means committing to a single retail source for tools, batteries, replacements, and customer support. Some consumers find this acceptable. Others view it as unnecessary vulnerability. Cobalt isn't facing outright rejection. It's facing cautious evaluation. People purchase individual items, but fewer commit to comprehensive systems unless the immediate value proposition is exceptionally compelling. Number 3, skill. Skill occupies one of the harshest competitive positions in the entire tool landscape: entry-level power tools. This segment rewards visibility, confidence, and momentum above nearly everything else. By most measures, skill should be thriving. The brand has decent recognition. Prices remain competitive. Yet the category has become intensely saturated. Practically every retailer stocks multiple budget alternatives supported by more aggressive marketing and clearer value communication. Skill frequently fails to differentiate itself effectively. Packaging doesn't compellingly articulate advantages over alternatives. The cordless lineup doesn't feel robust enough to signal serious, long-term platform commitment. The result? Skill becomes a brand consumers briefly consider, then bypass. Not because it's defective, but because it doesn't present itself as the safest or most obvious selection anymore. Number 2, Silverline. Silverline's challenge isn't fundamentally about quality. It's about continuity and confidence. Buyers have lost faith in the brand's staying power beyond the point of purchase. When distribution channels weaken, consequences follow. Retail presence thins. Online availability becomes inconsistent. Products appear and vanish unpredictably. This instability triggers a critical question in buyers' minds. If I need this again in the future, will it still be available? Silverline now carries the feel of clearance merchandise without the clearance pricing. This can work for single-use purchases, but it's problematic for anyone thinking beyond immediate needs. Number 1, Triton. Triton's fundamental problem isn't performance. It's consistency and reliability. The tools function adequately. The trouble lies in everything surrounding them. When a brand relies heavily on concentrated distribution channels, any disruption creates disproportionate impact. Product lines disappear. Accessory availability becomes uncertain. Support infrastructure feels fragile. This uncertainty prevents purchases from happening. Even existing loyal users begin planning around the brand rather than with it. For potential new buyers, Triton increasingly feels like an unnecessary risk. What connects all these brands isn't defective products, it's fractured confidence, contracting retail presence, stagnant platform development, unclear strategic direction, vulnerable distribution networks. Consumers rarely abandon tool brands over single failures. They depart when warning indicators accumulate. Once doubt establishes itself, buyers quietly migrate toward perceived, safer alternatives. Forward momentum matters. Operational stability matters. And strategic clarity matters far more than nostalgic legacy. If you found this analysis valuable, straightforward, practical, and designed to inform your purchasing decisions, make sure you subscribe for more content like this.